My name is Irene Holmes. Welcome to my stories.
Chapter 3. Grayson didn't ask why. When Loretta called, he came the same evening, not to her apartment, not to the office, but to a quiet bench near the fountain where the roses still held their scent even after sunset. In Rosewood Gardens, beauty was part of the disguise. He sat beside her like it was nothing, like they were simply two residents talking about weather and schedules. But Loretta didn't look at him. "I need facts," she said. Grayson nodded once, slowly. "About Samuel." Loretta's fingers tightened around the edge of her coat. "He's doing something again," she continued, her voice controlled. "Not loudly, not openly. He's quiet, careful, and that's why it's hard to catch." Grayson's eyes narrowed, not in surprise, in calculation. "Where he plays," Loretta said, "with whom, how he draws them in, how far it's gone." Grayson finally turned his head toward her. "You want proof," he said. "I need proof," Loretta corrected. "Not suspicions, not a feeling, not whispers." There was a short pause. Then Grayson leaned back slightly, as if settling into a role he knew well. "I can do that," he said. "I'll find where he sits, who he sits with, who he's already hooked." Loretta's gaze stayed forward. The fountain water sounded too peaceful. "And Samuel?" she asked. Grayson gave a thin smile, the kind that never reached his eyes. "He won't even know I'm looking," he said. "That's the point." Loretta exhaled slowly. "Be careful," she murmured. Grayson stood up, adjusting his jacket. "I'm always careful," he said, "and I'm good at being invisible." He took 2 steps away, then stopped. "One more thing," he added quietly. "If he's doing this here, it's not just money. People like Samuel don't risk something unless it's worth it." Loretta didn't answer, but her silence was sharper than any word. Grayson walked off into the lamplight, already thinking ahead, not like a journalist, but like a man who knew where secrets liked to hide. And in Rosewood Gardens, secrets always hid in plain sight. Grayson didn't go to the common room. If Samuel was truly careful, he wouldn't lay cards under the ceiling cameras, under the warm lamps and polite smiles. Not where staff could pass by, not where anyone could suddenly decide to check in. Samuel wasn't that kind of man. So Grayson did what he always did best. He listened. Not to the loud conversations, not to the stories that people told for company. He listened to what they tried to hide. The first clue came from a woman with perfect hair and tired eyes, speaking too quietly in the hallway. "Not here," she whispered to someone. "Tonight, at Ruth's." Ruth. That was not a place on the map, it was a person. Then, near the elevators, Grayson heard 2 men arguing softly, as if the walls could report them. "I told you I can't," one of them said. "Not again." "It's just cards," the other replied too quickly. "Just cards. He said it himself." He. Not they, not someone, not a group. He. Grayson didn't interrupt. He didn't stare. He simply walked past, like a resident who had nowhere to be. By 10, Rosewood Gardens became even quieter. Lights behind curtains dimmed one by one. Doors closed. Televisions faded into silence. And then, something started happening that was almost invisible. People left their apartments in small pairs. Not together, not as a group. One couple went down the corridor like they were heading for tea. A man in a cardigan paused at the corner, waited, then followed. Another woman stepped out with her purse too small for groceries, too careful for a casual walk. They moved without hurry, without laughter, like people walking into a mistake they already knew they would make. Grayson followed at a distance, not close enough to be noticed, not far enough to lose them. They didn't go to Samuel's door. They didn't go anywhere near it. Instead, they stopped in a quieter wing where fewer residents lived, where the carpets were thicker and the light was softer. Apartment 207. The woman in front knocked the way people knock when they don't want others to hear. 2 light taps, a pause, then one more. A chain clicked. A door opened just enough. Someone inside said something low. Not friendly, not welcoming, checking. Then they were let in. One by one. Grayson stopped at the corridor corner and watched. No laughter, no greetings, no casual chatter. Only quick glances, shoulders slightly hunched, hands holding envelopes like they were holding shame. This was not a social evening. This was not just cards. A few minutes later, he saw him. Samuel. He wasn't entering the apartment like a guest. He entered like a man who knew the room already belonged to him. No hurry, no fear, no hesitation. And before the door closed, Grayson caught the smallest detail. Samuel was not carrying cards. He didn't need to. Someone else inside was preparing the table. Someone else was taking the risk. Samuel simply arrived to collect. The door shut quietly, and the hallway returned to its perfect, expensive silence. Grayson stood still for a moment. Then he took out his phone and typed one message to Loretta. Found him, apartment 207, not his place. He's not playing, he's running it. He stared at the closed door, and in that moment he understood something that made his stomach tighten. Samuel didn't just want money. He wanted control. And people like that didn't stop when they won. They stopped only when someone forced their hand. Grayson didn't rush. He stayed where he was, half shadow, half wall, the kind of corner built for decorative plants and hidden eyes. He pulled his phone out without turning on the screen brightness. A closed door didn't look dangerous, but it was. Behind it, money changed hands, pride broke, fear learned new names. Grayson waited. He needed something, anything that could turn suspicion into proof. A sound, a name, a phrase, a number. From inside apartment 207, faint voices spilled through the seam under the door. Not enough to understand every word, but enough to catch rhythm. Then he heard it. A soft slap cards on a table. A chuckle nervous, forced. And Samuel's voice calm, low, confident. "You're always so dramatic," he said, almost kindly. "It's just temporary. You'll win it back next time." Temporary. That word was always poison. Grayson lifted his phone, pressed record, not video, just audio. Silent, no flash, no risk. He counted in his head. 5 seconds. 10. 15. Inside, someone laughed again too sharply. Then another voice. I don't have that much." Samuel replied immediately, still soft. "You do, you just don't want to look." Grayson's jaw tightened. That was it. Pressure, quiet pressure. He let the recording run. A step inside. A chair scrape. A glass clink. And then, a tiny metallic click from the hallway. Not from inside 207, from behind Grayson. A door opening slowly. Grayson didn't move. Not yet. He didn't look back. He didn't blink fast. He didn't swallow. Every instinct screamed, turn, run. But experience whispered, still. A person stepped out into the corridor, the light from their apartment cutting a pale stripe across the carpet. An old man, white hair, thin shoulders, a robe. He stood there, frozen, as if he hadn't expected to see anyone. Grayson relaxed by 1 degree, not enough to show relief. The old man's eyes locked onto him. "Who are you?" he asked, voice trembling but not weak. Too alert, too sharp. Grayson's mind moved fast. He became harmless in a second. "A resident," he said quietly, as if embarrassed. "I got lost." The old man stared at him for a long moment. Then his gaze slid to Grayson's phone. Grayson lowered it slowly, not hiding it but not offering it. The man's lips tightened. "You shouldn't be here," he whispered. It didn't sound like advice. It sounded like fear. Grayson tilted his head slightly. "What's going on?" he asked softly. The man swallowed. His eyes flickered toward apartment 207. A muffled laugh came from behind that door. The old man's hands trembled just a little. "They're playing," he said. "And you," he paused, voice cracking, "you're not one of them." "I'm not," Grayson confirmed. The man opened his mouth to say more. And suddenly the laughter inside 207 stopped. Like someone switched it off. The hallway became too quiet. Grayson felt it before he heard it. A slow step. Then another. From inside. Approaching the door. Someone had stood up. Someone had decided to check. Grayson didn't move. He didn't run. Not yet. The old man backed away as if the air itself burned. His eyes widened. "Go," he mouthed without sound. The handle of apartment 207 moved. A chain rattled. The door opened a few inches, just enough for an eye to appear in the gap. Not staff. Not a resident. A younger man, strong build, silent face. He scanned the corridor. The old man in the robe stared at the floor like a guilty child. Grayson remained still, leaning casually, like he belonged there. The younger man's gaze landed on him. A pause. 2 seconds. 3. Then a voice came from inside Samuel's voice. "Who is it?" The younger man didn't answer right away. He kept looking, as if trying to decide whether this was harmless or a problem. Grayson gave him a small smile, polite, empty. "Evening," he said. The younger man narrowed his eyes. Samuel's voice came again, low and impatient now. "Let's not waste time." The younger man hesitated, then closed the door. The chain clicked again. The handle settled, and the hallway breathed just barely. Grayson kept his face calm, but his pulse was loud in his ears. The old man in the robe turned sharply and disappeared into his apartment without another word, as if being seen speaking to Grayson might cost him something. Grayson waited 10 full seconds. Then he walked away without looking back. Only when he reached the elevators did he exhale, and only when the doors closed did he check his phone. The recording was there, clear enough. Samuel's voice, the pressure, the lie. Grayson typed fast. "Loretta, I have audio, not just cards coercion. He has someone guarding the door." And residents are scared. This is bigger than gambling. He stared at his reflection in the elevator mirror. And for the first time tonight, he allowed himself one thought. Samuel wasn't hiding from rules. He was hiding from consequences. And now, someone had finally started counting them. The elevator doors opened. Soft light, clean marble, the perfect calm of Rosewood Garden, the kind that made danger look impossible. Grayson stepped out, phone still warm in his hand, and stopped. Samuel was there, in the lobby near the mailboxes, as if he had simply come down for something ordinary. As if he wasn't just running a quiet trap upstairs. He wasn't alone. Two men stood a few steps behind him, not close enough to look like security, but close enough to be useful. Samuel turned his head slowly, like he had been waiting for this exact second. A smile appeared on his face, friendly, open, almost charming. But his eyes weren't smiling. "Well," Samuel said softly, "what a coincidence." Grayson returned the smile, equally polite, equally empty. "Rosewood is full of them," he replied. Samuel took one step closer, not threatening, not aggressive, just confident. "I don't think we've met," Samuel said. "You're new." "Not that new," Grayson answered. Samuel's gaze flickered to Grayson's phone. Just a flicker, but it was enough. Then Samuel's voice lowered, like a secret shared between gentlemen. "I hope you're enjoying our little community," he said. "It's a place where people value privacy." Grayson nodded, still calm. "I do," he said. "Privacy is important." Samuel's smile widened. "Yes," he agreed. "It really is. A beat." Then, with the same friendly voice, Samuel added, "And it's also very fragile." Grayson held his gaze. "Good night, Samuel." Samuel tilted his head. "Good night," he echoed, "friend." Grayson walked away without looking back. But he could feel it, Samuel's eyes on him, steady and amused. Not the eyes of a man who feared being exposed. The eyes of a man who had just noticed that someone had finally started watching him. And in Rosewood Garden, that kind of attention never ended well for anyone. In Rosewood Garden, gambling is forbidden, not because of the law, but because the residents are older, vulnerable, and too trusting. Samuel knows the rules. That's why he breaks them quietly. No common room, no club corner, no witnesses. Only tea visits to someone else's apartment and money that appears just as silently as fear. Loretta has no proof, only the sick feeling that Samuel hasn't changed. So she calls the only person who can get facts without being noticed, Grayson. Tonight, he follows the whispers. Tonight, he finds the door. And tonight, he almost gets caught. Because Samuel isn't just gambling. He's controlling people. And in Rosewood Garden, privacy is fragile.